Greetings, one and all. This is Chester Miller, and I fully endorse SPRB Radio Podcast with 10-Star General and Sharon Mango. Trust me, you won't be disappointed, because they're spreading that loving feeling. Hey, one love.
Hey, listen up. This is Jerry Harris, SPRB Radio Podcast Show. Check it out with 10-Star General and Sharon Mango. The live conversation show. Check it out. Don't left it out. Oh yeah. Hey, SPRB Radio Podcast. SPRB Radio Podcast with 10-Star General and Sharon Mango. Yeah, SPRB Radio Podcast. SPRB Radio Podcast. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Yes. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Now. Yes, SPRB Radio Podcast with 10-Star General and Sharon Mango. Check it out.
Greetings, my name is Freddie Green. I'm from Nigeria and I fully endorse the SPRB Radio Podcast with the 10-Star General and Sharon Mango. Trust me, I know you will not be disappointed. Respect.
Hey, what's up? My name is Ray Vaughn and I fully support SPRB Radio Podcast. Check in.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. I hope you all can hear me. 1, 2, 3, mic check. Right, we're back here for another edition of the original live conversation show with myself, 10-Star General, and my beautiful host all the way down there in sunny New Jersey.
Yeah. Yes, it's so sunny. But my sunglasses, wait. All right,
Yeah.
never mind. The sunglasses.
So how you been?
I'm good, you know. I think that I'm good. I think I'm annoyed because I broke my glasses, and these are old glasses, and I don't really like them. I don't really need them, but I broke my glasses, so
Oh,
I've been
geez.
squinting sometimes. I did. I broke them.
A new pair is in order.
Well, I have to go over to the place, innit? But anyway,
Anyway, they don't come cheap.
I'm good.
Mhm. Well, today we have very exciting, gonna have
Yeah,
an
me
exciting
too.
conversation with a very, very awesome young chap. Yes, most definitely.
That gentleman, let's put it in there, very handsome young gentleman's coming in, tell us his life story.
Right. So today,
And
ladies and sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I thought you
Go ahead.
stopped. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Go
Miss
ahead.
Mango.
Well, this gentleman coming onto our stage today, amazing Sparkie Melody, the Duke Sparkie. So them calling him a Duke. You know what that means? Big time. Not something to say.
Right.
Not something to tell away.
So here is the Duke.
Good afternoon or good morning.
How are you doing, sir?
Oh,
I'm very well. How are you, sir?
Well, I am happy to be in the land of the living.
Good.
Right.
no, there's
So-
that in it. That's real.
And then, Press Sharon, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you, sir? We were just talking about you and said, wow, you have a lot to tell us today, but it's an honor and a pleasure to have you on our stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure to be
Yeah.
here with you today.
Now, today we have Little Minty. All right, he's the gentleman whom I had reached out to, and I was reaching out in respect of somebody else. But lo and behold, in the background, he had a mighty song playing. I didn't know what song it was, but my spirit resonated with it. I said, "Hey, Minty, how would that you are playing on the background?" And he said, "That's Sparkie, Sparkie Melody." You know, I can't call your name without saying Sparkie. And he told me it was Sparkie Melody. So I said, "What? That tune resonate with me." But up until a couple of weeks, I couldn't remember what song that was. But we're going to talk about that particular song because it just resonates with my spirit. So we have Little Minty to thank for that. We sent contacts off to Miss Mango, and Miss Mango, she did her magic as well. And then we reached out later on, and yeah. So big respect to Little Minty and Miss Mango for setting up everything. And here is the great Sparkie Melody.
Hi, how are we doing? Great. That's a big word to Gary.
Great.
Are you putting me there?
I'm putting you there.
Okay, thank you very much.
And we put on your support wheels as well, just in case.
Sure, I'm going to need them.
Right. Can we not go see your file and not lift you up?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's right.
And I just want to say congratulations on your platform, by the way. I'm an avid watcher. I do watch it. So
wow,
you're doing very well. And it's nice that you get this stuff catalogued.
Right.
Build up that history for future generations to have this as an archive on who's doing what within the music industry, not just singers and players of instruments, but things behind the scenes as well. So I commend you on that.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate that.
So who do we have? We have DJ Maestro who's logged in. We have a couple of people logged in. I can't see
DJ Maestro, bless up, sir.
Yeah. And we have a couple more people logged in on YouTube and Facebook. So as we see who they are, we'll be hailing them out as we go along.
Okay.
So thanks to all who are here at the moment. Thank you. Okay, so let's begin. Sharon, take him down memory lane to his earliest memory. And I'll butt in here and there.
Yes, of course. Well, Mr. Melody. I like to say Mr. Melody or Mr. Sparkie. Mr. Melody sounds like.
Yeah, Melody.
It's Sharon freezing. Okay.
No. I'm there.
Okay.
Sparkie. Yes. Again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on our show. Thank you for taking my call because not everybody. You know, when you see a number, you be like, oh, this I call me. You don't pick up, but you picked up. And, you know, initially when we made that contact, it was such a pleasure to talk to you. I was so excited and couldn't wait for you to come on our show so we can know your journey, know your history. I'm going to take you down memory lane. Let's get started on that. And first of all, let's go with where you were born, mom and dad, brothers and sisters. Let's start there.
Okay, so I was born in Islington, so North London. And then my memories of childhood was in West London. And then my mum is Derwent and my mum is Joyce. They're from Jamaica. So my mum's from Westmoreland and my dad's from Clarendon. So, and they're very much still alive and kicking, thanks be to the Most High.
Amen. That's amen. Amen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in West London. And West London at the time was a melting pot of different communities, ethnicities, and races, which is good because you're just all together. You look out for each other. So we grew up in an estate, and we used to go out and play football and mingle with everybody. And there was different blocks. There were 4 blocks where we grew up, and you can see there was a communal thing. I do remember the Queen's Jubilee. I think it was 1977 or something, as way back as that. And having that
I remember that. Yeah.
That's one of my first memories that I remember, as well as being out there and all the tables laid out and things. So away from the music, that's one of my first memories, like that I can hold there and still see the pictures of that. So that's interesting. But what that brings me back is that communal spirit that we used to have growing up, where we felt safe in that environment to be out there playing. And it's very interesting, like today, when I drive and I see fields or even small patches of grass that should be filled with children playing football, it amazes me, because anywhere we saw a patch of grass or anything, we're going to stay there for the rest of the day. So interesting. West London is where I grew up, and that's where my first conscious memory starts.
I think I'm that area, well, northwest London. I think that we were in similar area. And, now that you do talk about that, it was, as much as there was things going on, but I do remember feeling safe. You could go to the park, your initial community really supported you, and, your neighbors were always looking out for you. And it was, those were very good times before the nonsense, of course, kicked in London. So, okay, so tell me about Mum. Tell me about your mum and your dad. Was your mum a church goer? Did you have to go to church?
We did, and I think at the early stages of it, because I'm of the Catholic faith, but there's different explorations of different religions and whatnot. So we took into Church of England Church. So most people at some point try to search for what their faith is going to be. And so it was varied. Sometimes we used to go to Sunday school in a church up in Harlesden, with the steps. Right.
I know exactly.
You should know that quite well. Because
that's where the Cimarron started out.
Right. Okay. So that church, we used to go to that church, and we used to have, so when I talk about communal spirit and what we grew up with, I remember the minibus used to come and pick us up on a Sunday. A minibus.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
And that was, then they'll go down to the next block, and then the next block will get on.
That's right.
Around and then take us off to Harlesden.
Right.
And I think the morning session was, the children were downstairs while the adults were having their service. Yeah. And then we used to do Bible stories and things around that, learning for children. And then about midday, we used to go upstairs to join them for the afternoon as well. Mm-hmm. And then that used to run for about another hour or hour and a half. And then we all left from there and went and had dinner. And it was a good time. It was a good time. Yeah. So that just shows you the sense of community spirit. Can you imagine now a minibus comes and picks up your children to take them to church?
You know what I mean? Back in those days, we were giving all sorts of excuses.
But it was quite strange. It was like,
I've got a cold.
And as you're driving along, you knew what children will come out on a weekly basis.
Right.
So when somebody didn't come out or things like that, the driver, remember, used to get out to go knock the door.
And those are the best times, like as simple as it is.
You wish the man would just drive along and move.
Five minutes coming to knock the door, you're not getting on the bus.
Yeah, and so his ex coming out to the thing, and then you'd either see the child appear or you see the door close. So by the time you got back to the van, you knew what the answer was.
The good old days.
Yeah, so we used to do that. That was enjoyable because also they used to have a band in there.
Yeah.
And then they had the choir and the band was fantastic. And they used to strike up in the afternoon session. And it was just music, 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 and singing and rejoicing.
Right.
And that went really quickly. And it was full. So when we came up as children, because our cousins or parents were there, we used to find them. So whatever seat they got, we can have that advantage viewpoint. But I can remember that church was always busy.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, like I say, the Cimarrons started their career rehearsing in that church. So that
Well, that's
church
awesome,
has
yeah.
complete history. And as a matter of fact, let me just mention the late great Delroy Washington. We all went down to that church and laid a plaque on in honor of the Cimarrons as well. So a lot of history there.
You can feel it around that area as well when
Yeah.
you're amongst it, you know. And I'm sure throughout the interview we'll touch upon artists that come through that corridor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
West London. Yeah.
True. Very true.
Yeah, so that was one part, that the going to church, and then you come to a point where you're going to pick school. So I went to a Catholic school, so I went to Catholic church as well. So you get that conflict of religion at an early age on like what that belief system is, what that belief system is, and then you get to the point where you can make your own decisions on what you're going to do. So didn't stay within the church with the band and everything else, although it was enjoyable. I sort of went off down the Catholic route and then went to do my communion and confirmation and things like that, very much for my schooling. So, and then when you come out of that, it's like religion, you sort of find your own religion, you know? As long as you get teachings from when you're young and apply those to your existence as you move along, then you should have the right code in life, you know?
That's right. That's right. Now, me and you've had quite a few conversations before this actual show happened, and what a revelation! One of the first revelations that we can pick up on was the fact that I mentioned in conversation. I think you mentioned suspend, and I said, "Wait." I said, "Behave." I said, "Behave yourself. Behave, Sparkie. Behave. What do you know about sus?" And he goes, "My dad plays in sus." I go, "Wait. Wait, so we're talking the likes of Lindel Lewis and them man there?" He goes, "Yeah. Because your father was one of the first generation from the sus band." And he sent me some links, and I saw the links with this sus band back in Lee Scratch Perry. Tell me about your father, because it so happened that in talking about sus, we came to realize that my late great brother taught your father Kateda, which was martial arts. So I said, "Weird. Wagwan Yassa."
Isn't that something? And that goes to you that when we're speaking about where I grew up, you was always obviously around that area as well.
That's right. That's right.
So when we came onto the story about your brother that taught my father Kateda, because he was one of the grand masters of it.
That's right. That's right.
So I had that conversation with my father and mentioned your brother, and he remembers.
Right.
They were some serious people, those people that studied that Kateda.
What? They were secret weapons.
Hey.
Don't mess with the Kateda, man, them.
Not at all. Because I forgive you a funny story. I remember my father coming home one day with an iron plate.
What?
So it's like a sheet of steel or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I remember him placing it up there and doing a certain distance and punching the and the breathing and the.
That's right. Inner power, all that kind of stuff. The meditation, you know. I don't know if they told you about, there was a man called Lionel who was the original grandmaster, and there were stories of him ripping that iron plate. You know what I mean? So those people are dangerous, literally dangerous. But
you can see when it comes down to those individuals is that they have a level of discipline.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way
There
that
were-
they got themselves, the way that their shoulders were pinned back, the way that they carried themselves,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
wouldn't know that they could do Kateda or
That's right.
something like that. So
That's
I mean,
right.
we had a conversation, and those gentlemen, they always spoke with their eyes, didn't they?
Oh, what?
Of that generation.
We spoke about that, right? And that was true. You know, you knew when to back off just by looking into their eyes. Literally, Sharon.
Oh,
But
I know.
also the point, and it goes to show you that my upbringing when we were out is that my parents would send us signals across the room if we were
Right.
visiting too much in the chair and things. So we were from that is that we could speak without speaking. So
For real, for real. Now, it's so funny because my brother not only taught your dad, but he taught many people in the reggae music industry. He also taught Loxley Geechee, who was the lead guitarist and the original member of the Cimarrons, and he taught and was good friends with Benjamin Zafanau, who sadly lost his fight for life. You know, so we pray for his soul to rest in peace. You know,
indeed,
yeah.
that was a blow to us the other day.
It was.
Just seeing the actual pictures and the tributes
Hmm.
is a
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
Yeah.
He's going to be sadly lost because I remember one of the first pieces of poetry was from one of
Yeah.
the first pieces that we heard, like just voice
Yeah.
that came
Yeah.
across the radio, and that was so powerful. And
Right.
then you probably get another one where we was doing it on a dub, and then you think he's putting poetry with dub and an amazing individual.
It was. It was literally. You know. So we pray for his soul to rest in peace.
Yes.
But coming back to this conversation and one of your tracks of your new album, we're gonna get to that in the deeper sense of it, is called Guardians. And what I find amazing is that coming to understand who you are over the past coming days and weeks is the fact that you've been riding on the shoulders of some of these ancestors, if I can call it that. Your father is an original founding member of the Sus Band, which is a very great band, and I know them very, very well because they were always in the studio when I was working, and they would come in and sit down until their time because they were going to rehearse and that. And knowing the band, from way back when, I always thought, man, this band was very, very tight. But, they didn't really get the credit they deserve, but they were a mighty band. So tell me about the influence of your father in your life and what it was you picked up from his energy.
Are you talking about in the musical sense or just
In
your
the
day?
musical sense and what you learned being around him.
Right, so just being around him, and then we'll go back to the Leech Scratch Perry thing that you mentioned, the tube light later on. So growing up, I remember my father used to play lead guitar first.
Okay.
I remember he's a rhythm guitarist or a lead guitarist. I remember the bass guitar in the case, and even shows or even pictures that we saw or rehearsal tapes, you could hear him. And when you listen to those things, you could pick out what your father's doing because he's not a vocalist, so therefore you pick out his section within a song. I used to go to rehearsal with him, and they used to rehearse on Fernhead Road as well. So you know Fernhead Road?
Very well.
Oh, cool. Very well.
Right,
Yes.
Right, so up there you used to have St. Luke's and St. Luke's Church as well.
That's
so
right.
coming back from there across there is where the Sus Band used to rehearse. And it was in a house as well.
Right.
Not knowing to me, which I discovered like later on, because when I was a child, I used to say, how can you not make so much noise in here and nobody comes to tell you to stop? Because I'm a child. So when we make noise, obviously someone will come tell you to pipe down.
That's right. That's right.
Hearing the drummer and then the keyboards, thinking we're just in a normal house. Not being known to me is that was tanked out their rehearsal room.
Right. Wow.
So it deadened the sound. So even people in the house wouldn't hear them inside there. It was, so they really went for it. And that was a 10-piece band at the time for my first recollection of it.
Imagine.
So I can even remember them before they became the 10-piece sus. Because I remember Graham Hawke, and Graham Hawke is in my bio as well. Graham Hawke was a keyboard player.
Right.
And I remember when I used to sit on the sofa, I used to turn to the right because the keyboards were set up by the window at the rehearsal.
Right.
And just the way that he played.
Right.
Extraordinary, like double
right.
organ.
Okay.
And he could turn down that and the chords and fabulous sound. Fabulous.
Now, for anybody who may not know what show he was talking about, especially in regards to Lee Scratch Perry, I've actually included the links in the description of this show. So after the show has ended, you'll be able to click on those links and see, some of the performances of the sus band with Lee Scratch Perry.
Yeah, so if you want to talk about, we can talk about Lee Scratch Perry. Then when that came out, I think it was 83 or something like that.
83, 84.
83, 84. Yeah. And I can remember the day my father was leaving to go there because it was filmed in Newcastle.
Right.
So that was with Paulie Yates. And
Paulie Yates. Yeah.
So I can remember them leaving, and Jules Holland as well.
That's right.
So I can remember them leaving early morning to go up to my dad. By the time he was a bass player,
right?
Seen him perform many times, and then they went up.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the phone ringing around 6:05 or something,
and
it was my father on the line. And he picked up, and I said, "Hi," and he says, and I remember picking up the phone. Can you believe that? So when I picked up the phone, he said, "We're going on in about 15 minutes."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, okay." And then put the phone down. And what that call was, he said that I remember, pick the phone up when I call later on. Because there's no mobiles. That phone is connected to the wall, right?
Right.
You can't go anywhere. You're expecting a call.
That's right.
So, it's a case of picking it up. We're on in 15 minutes. And I remember the signal was, once he called, we had to press record on the VHS.
Right.
We wanted to record the show so we could see
it. I hear you. Yeah.
So we went on to Channel 4, pressed the record button, and then Scratch came out, the band came out, and to see your father on television.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And it was with Scratch Perry as well. They managed to tour the country as well. They've done loads of shows. So the sus band used to open up. Around earlier on, they opened up for many the greats as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that was fabulous, and that as a memory, looking at there and seeing all the band and seeing Frankie and Len on rhythm guitar, Errol, and Dad, Sorensen on the drums, Neil Paul Hammer, and Bubba Williams, who was on. Fabulous.
Yeah.
And funny enough, the next morning after watching that, do you know that I went to school and you didn't really talk about those things?
Right.
It's not like I went to school and said, did you see my dad on the television yesterday on Jules Holland or on the Monday or on a Friday? You saw those things went under the radar. Right. You were just interested in what you were doing, like get the football out, let's play football.
That's right.
Long story, or you're going to go on Google or anything to find it. If you missed it,
that the importance of what was going on was oblivious to us back then,
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to document said conversations.
Yeah.
At least that way you can piece things back together, and these sort of nuggets that you put up there for people to look at can always find the trail back to the history. So if you have to look at it directly through my father, who's worked with Lee Scratch Perry, that all takes it back to the great, the King Bob Marley and things like that. So there's always a trace for everybody's history within the music, it always goes back to somewhere.
Right.
Like new artist that will speak to me is connected to that, I speak to that artist, connect. So it's got that domino effect.
Right. So anyway, let Sharon lead the way. Go ahead, Sharon.
So during that time, what were your interests at that time, like school days and all that? Where did music come into it for you?
It didn't. I only had interest in music because of my father. That's how I was interested in music. And those days, you were quite restricted in what you could watch on television. So you always used to listen to the radio. So and reggae wasn't on there where you'd have those dedicated reggae stations. We were very limited where you get a Tony Williams on a Sunday, Roots Rockers, or you would get David Rodigan.
Yep.
And that's what we used to tune into, and that's what we used to listen to. And they came on weekly.
Yeah.
But when it came down to music, you had to find your source of music. Yes, we had music throughout the house, but you're not going to touch that stuff. You can't play it or do anything. So cassettes and radio, as we said, we used to record, and when the DJ used to start speaking, you used to press stop, rewind it, and then the next song. So that's how we used to make our tapes back in the day. So my sort of music thing, it wasn't that I wanted to be a musician or anything. I had no aspirations to do music until I was probably in my mid-teens. But it was always football.
Right.
Every time I went outside, I always took a football with me. I was known as Duke with the football. Or everywhere.
Right.
So anytime I was outside, that's what I was doing. I had no interest in music at all. Other than listening.
So were there any thoughts to trying to go professional? Because when I look at you with football, because when I look at you, right, you have a very strong athletic build. So you evidently take the time to, look after yourself, to keep in shape, maybe exercise, whatever you do. Why did you not, or did you think?
Right. So back in the times, if you have a look at football squads and that, they don't have the academies that what they have now. So you're looking at it.
That's true.
Back in the day, there was 11 players in the side and one substitute. And funny enough is that the club that we played for, which was the Stowe Club on the Harrow Road, remember that club?
Yes,
Yes.
I do, as a matter of fact.
You remember that? I do, yes.
So we played, and it was the Pineapple. The Pineapples, they were called. That was the Stowe Club. So they used to do boxing in there, chess clubs, all the clubs. So we all went to Stowe Club. And funny enough, the same club that John Barnes comes from.
Right.
Oh, yeah. John Barnes,
The Watford used to come down and look at us and things like that on a regular basis. And there was quite a few people that went for trials and whatnot. You would get picked up, but it was very hard to break through. It's like they'll have interest in you, watch you for 6 months or whatever it is, and then move on to the next thing. So it was very difficult to say you were going to become a professional footballer back in those, because the squads just didn't have it. Yes, you can get YTMS schemes, and I know quite a few people that went on to do that used to play for Brentford, and like Roderick Thomas, who I know, Robert Peters ended up playing for Brentford. I know Gary Eaton came out of there, Osborne Smith. So a few of them, it was a handful. And everybody in those days could play a position, but we could play 3 or 4 positions when we used to play football and do them all equally well. So that pursuit of it didn't really come to where it was going to happen. Like later on when I became semi-pro, because jumping along, I went and played for Tringtown and went on to semi-pro, and that's when you get paid a little bit for it as well. So that's as high as I got. But the aspiration as a professional, I think everybody wanted to do it, but it was limited, and we were closest to it by having Stowe Club there, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
I remember that Stowe.
everybody was a baller back in those days. It was even hard to get into the school football team, let alone the district team, and then you had to play for the county and things. All that was very hard. So you could play for the county or the district a few times, and then you're out the team, and so it was difficult. Opportunities that children have got these days, or the younger generation, it's a lot better for them. And if they apply themselves to it, then they've got a great. So a good number of footballers back in my day, if they had the academy schemes that they've got now, there's a chance that more of them would have came out. But
yeah,
doesn't happen.
So you graduate high school. So during high school, before you even graduate, okay, so you love football, yeah. What else did you aspire to be? Like, if music
Okay,
wasn't it yet, what other interest was there?
Okay, so from that, we used to, as I said, play football, and I started a band called Caress with another friend of mine called Mark when we were on the estate, and then I had a keyboard. Yeah, so I had a keyboard, and we would go out there and we'd write songs. And years ago, Blue Peter had a Search for a Band competition. Do you remember that?
I do.
I'm sure it was called Search for a Band. I remember we put a song together, and we put the cassette into that, and we thought, will it come back? And we were practicing. I don't think anything come back of that. But we done some songs, and then we were putting it together because you just are mimicking what your father does, right?
Right.
So we used to go to house, and that's probably from age of 13 to 15 or something. We were doing that, but every now and again, because there was people around that area with music and whatnot. So we used to see Smiley Culture. It was the norm for us to see stars passing through West London. I remember going to school one day and remember Morris Gardner, the great Morris Gardner. Morris Gardner.
Yeah.
I Want to Wake Up With You was his song. That was filmed at Westbourne Bar Tube Station. I remember that at school or coming home from school and seeing them filming that as well.
Yeah.
So that was the norm. There was so many things happening around in that melting pot of West London that it used to just go by you. If you look back now, you'd hold on to that or pay more attention on it.
Right.
Because even Michelle Gale, who was in Brain Children when she went to East End, she grew up in that area. We used to see Michelle Gale all the time. She was in Grange Hill. We sort of thought nothing of it. See Michelle all the time.
Right.
And Pepsi from Wham. He used to live on the Ashmore Road as well.
Imagine.
And then she was just into oh. Anytime we saw her, hi Pepsi, and she, hi boy. She's speaking to me. She wasn't.
Okay, we're losing him a bit. Can you hear me?
Am I back?
Yeah. Your internet was acting up a little bit.
I can indeed, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I think.
Has it sorted this up?
Yeah, slightly.
Slightly lagging.
Yeah, it is lagging. But bear with us, ladies and gents. Before we do anything, we're gonna go and do something like this. Bear with me a second. We'll be back in a few. Let's just do this.
Today is a new day, oh, and I'm thankful. No time for regrets, no, but I'm hopeful. So many didn't get a chance, nah. So be grateful. Hey, things might not go my way, but me not complain. Life is a blessing, me I stay thankful.
Okay, Sparkie.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're gonna work with what we're given at the moment. Just pay attention to your signal because sometimes the signal sometimes wavers.
I'm fully cabled in. I'm on the network, so it's not Wi-Fi.
Hopefully, we'll be okay. All right. So Sharon, continue from where you left off.
So yes, where did I leave off? Because we was like nicely interrupted.
We were talking about.
We were talking about what you wanted to be, or what it was. What was your other aspiration in school? And aside from your love of football, like what else was there? Any subjects?
Right. So I used to
science or maths.
Science was my thing. Absolutely phenomenal with science. And that's all the sciences. But we used to do something that was called general science. So it was a bit of everything. So it was
Everything.
So I think biology was very sort of intriguing to me, biology. But physics, not so much. Chemistry was good. So it's all because down to the teachers as well. If you got a teacher
You're right. You're actually right. Yeah.
Because you could like history and your teacher could be horrible, and then you're not going to follow history because of the teacher. So it's the influences that your teacher have, and I had decent science teachers moving forward, and a lot of the science stuff that I learned in physics I used because I've done electronics as well. So my father was a designer of amplifiers for NAD. So he was and designers for like NAD hi-fis and things. So
Right.
A tube television back in the day, and with an oscilloscope or an amp meter, can trace all the signals back, all the voltages, and repair it broken. So I remember growing up, a lot of people used to bring stuff to be repaired by my father. So I can remember the smell of the soldering iron.
The soldering iron, yeah.
And then just doing resistors, and even from an early age where you got a resistor code, and then you can tell the bands and the tolerances of what that was. Some people wouldn't even know all this. The tolerances band of what that was to say what the ohms were of that resistor. So I learned things like that from an early age.
Right.
So it was a case, do you follow what your father's doing and go into the electronic field? And that's what I did. So when I finished school, got my O-levels and whatnot, when I moved on to college, I went to do radio and television and studied that at like sitting Gills level as well. So that was interesting. It gives you that grounding that you knew you had to find the track. So I done electronics, you get plumbing, and that's the thing. It's when we were at school, if you had different careers advice, because remember you had your options on what you had to study to what you were going to do.
Yeah.
It was a case you'd sit down and they'll give you like 5 industries or 6 industries that you could pick from. Whether you wanted to do building or I didn't think there was welding on there. It was building, mechanics. You got midwifery was in there. And then you had electronic servicing or whatever. But the options were very limited. There was nothing that, if you had aspirations to be a barrister or a lawyer, this is what you needed to do. That's what you needed to study that after school.
Yeah.
So okay, so what do I want to do? I'll do electronics. So we studied that in at least 3 years and got my good grades in that up to my sitting Gills and HND on that. So we've done very well in the electronic side. And you look at what fields you're going to go into. And I remember going to work and working in Holborn actually, and working on sectorial equipment, doing transducers and things with sounds, and you can repair things down to component level. So I really did follow in my father's footsteps, not at the level that his level's phenomenal. Because when he can design an amplifier, and you're talking about things like NAD, I mean, everybody knows NAD hi-fis or
that's big. That's big. That's big.
Yeah, so I remember when we were growing up, if you had a look at my father's stereo, it's like a space mission.
I couldn't believe it.
It wasn't the normal run of the mill where you had everything bolted together in one box and 2 speakers and a turntable. This is visual separates, and I'm talking about the high end of you couldn't even switch it on. You couldn't even switch it on. You'll see the lights come on, but you'll never get a sound out.
Right.
Like that with just 2 buttons like that, you'll never be able to figure it out. That's how complicated it was.
Right.
Amazing to even have the mindset to do that. Well, anyway, if he trained in that area, then but that's like real scientific. Scientific. You know, I'm saying very structured. So you knew every component.
And it was a case of at that time we were doing radio and television repairs. So back in the days, people used to rent television sets and whatnot because of prices. So you used to be able to go back to a repair center and whatnot. I remember doing work experience and go into a company in Hanwell. And what we used to do was, remember microwaves first came out?
Yeah.
I remember doing, like, for the radiation through if there was a leak on it and things like that through my work experience and things, and then repairing videos, like the heads on it. And yeah, so we were quite technical. And I had the foresight of, okay, how long is this going to work for where people rent televisions and they can buy televisions and things? So how long will that last for? So do I stay in the repair side of it, or do I get into something else? So I decided to, like, study different things and then have a look at. That's why I ended up working in the Holborn, repairing secretarial equipment, and this is like dictaphones and whatnot. Yeah, that all the solicitors and the lawyers down there, they used to take dictation, and then if their equipment broke, we'd have to repair it and then deliver them back to the offices. That was interesting. I remember even the good part about that job wasn't repairing anything. It was like we used to get luncheon vouchers.
Now there's
it's work experience, right? Because I remember that when you go on your work experience, and it's a lot of little perks and all. Yeah. I remember that.
But yeah, electronics was my thing, and I did follow my father in that. And then to this day, what I do within the retail spaces is very much based around things from binary, because we can convert things into binary, and it's interesting, zeros and ones.
Yeah.
So IP addresses and things is all associated back through binary. So we've got a deeper thought and things. And a lot of things back in that day was mechanical.
Right. Yeah.
And it wasn't this disposable culture that we have now. If something broke, you'd normally take it to somebody to repair it. And that's what repair places used to flourish. Because when we were growing up, you used to see loads of television shops or people repairing stuff that you could take it to, get a ticket, and they repair it and give it back. It's expensive as well.
Yeah.
So that was my avenue to look at what my father was doing and then study electronics. And when it came to me finding a job, we moved from West London, moved to Hertfordshire.
Of all places.
Yeah, so so we jumped out of West London, and then thinking, I know what it was. It is that we had my two brothers and my sister. So my older sister already left home by then. So I think the younger ones, he sort of saw, I don't really want them to be brought up in London. So we moved out to the country. My father says, like, probably more for my younger sister. They weren't there to grow up without having that fear that we put into them. Because if we came off the block and we'd disappear, and when you got back, you got back. You take the consequences of those things as well. Yeah. Where they stay out the front where I can see you, you move from there. I didn't think they wanted to go through that, because I'm sure me and my younger brother, put them through it.
Yeah.
It was a case of where everybody was, I'm just getting down the road, and used to look at the house and go, okay, let's just take the chance, and then just quickly nip to the shops and then nip back where they told you don't leave from your front door.
Yeah.
Nothing with all that. So, younger two got brought up in the country. So when I was up there, I was lucky enough to get a job at Toshiba. And then this which was fascinating, because I went in as an apprentice to do mechanical repairs on, at the time they're called ECRs, which are electronic cash registers, which is now a retail system. So the same things that you see in Morrison's, where you pay and all your transactions go through the PDQ, which is your pin entry device, or your PED. And I got into that, and it was a case of, I moved from the workshop, went into London, and then was doing things like Fortnum and Mason's, Aquascutum, and building their systems and repairing those systems. So I had a good grounding in what the corporate structure looked like from an early age, and that was moving out to the country to do that. And then, enough, going back into London to have that as my patch. So we used to do all the pubs and build systems, even things like Burger King. That system, the first system that they put in was like a Toshiba system. And I remember being able to strip that system down and rebuild it and have all the menus come back and extraordinary stuff, not simple stuff. But because I was lucky enough to be taught my mentor in that, Ian, I still speak to him.
Right.
All these years later, he was the main man in the workshop, and you're sort of like a rough diamond.
Yeah.
And he shaped me to be the person that I am, with my discipline, how I am as a person, applying yourself. So even at 4:30 on a Friday, is that we've done all our work. I remember us stopping, and he was that disciplined where we used to take everything off our benches, clean down all the benches, and then put everything ready for Monday. So I had good grounding from those guys. But moving out to Hertfordshire and then working at Toshiba was brilliant for me. So I didn't have any aspirations of doing anything with music. That was my drive, is that I'm in this big company and I just want to see how this thing works. And that was my joy. 28 years I lasted at that company. 28 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and went from the bottom floor right up into to the top floor.
Right. So you've always done good for yourself.
Well, that's what it seems like.
You apply yourself in anything that we do. Don't forget, my father being, and you know 10 Star, my father being the person that he is, although he's a disciplinarian, and he's a man that wants you to achieve and aspire to things. And no point doing it if you're not going to do it to your best of your ability.
That's true.
I think I found that throughout my career within the music. If you're not going to do it to your best, then you're doing it as a hobby, but there's nothing to talk about. Type of thing.
So what did Hertfordshire do to you mentally? What state of mind did it take you from to?
More to the point is, I think that was the first time I became aware of color.
Okay.
Because don't forget, we were in a melting pot, and if I was standing next to a white person or a black person down in London, we're going to see that each other as the same.
Right.
Yeah.
On the plains of Hertfordshire, you couldn't spot a black person there.
Right.
So you got to stand out, and that's where we had the talk where we sat down, and my father said, "Listen, if you're up here, you need to stand out for the right reasons." And that's what gave me the mental capacity to say anything that you do from here is just drive, to stand out for the right reasons. And that's
right.
And many people in London have the same dreams and aspirations inside there, doing great things inside there in the capital.
Right.
So it's just the environment. It was softer where I was, so I could navigate my way a bit.
Yeah.
So kind of moving up there gave you the drive then?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Don't forget, I went to college in South London as well, so we knew what it was to be on the street and how to handle yourself and how to look after yourself.
Right.
But as I said, we'll get into that with Prison Bed.
Right.
We didn't really get into trouble, but if you tried it with us, we know how to handle it, you know. Excuse me. We know what to do.
I hear you.
It's like that container master in that, where he's walking down the road and you try to grab hold of him. That's a mistake you made.
Yeah, for real. So let's talk now how you came to. I'm assuming this is your first single, which is called "Plenty More Fish in the Sea."
Okay, so when I did go to Hertfordshire, it was a case of, I think that's where it sparked my thing to do music, because you got more flexibility.
Okay.
So, funny enough, I used to travel. Remember the band that I said, Caress?
Yeah.
A true funny story, and this is about punctuality as well, and being at the place where you said you're supposed to be.
Right.
It was a case of, I said to my father, "I've got a rehearsal tonight." And he said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Yeah, me and Mark have got that band that we're putting together, and then we've got a rehearsal tonight." And I said, "Can I come with you down into London?" Because he was going to be with Sus to do another rehearsal. And he said, "No, okay." I remember grabbing my keyboard, putting the keyboard in the bag, jumping in the car down the M1 to Mark. I remember my father pulling up the car at the same estate that we moved from 18 months ago, whatever it was, or something. And he said, be here at 10 o'clock. No, 10:30.
Right.
So we're in there, we're rehearsing, doing whatever we're doing. And we looked at that and said, look, it's 1:15, we better get going. So we packed up the equipment. And I remember we ran down the road. And then we must have got there at 22:11 or something. 1:45.
Right.
Don't forget we're coming from Hertfordshire, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. So I'm thinking, and we stood there. There's no phone communication or anything. So I stood there. And we were waiting and waiting. About 11 o'clock, I think he's kind of gone. So
yeah,
it's because we went back to the house. When we got back to the house, I remember Mark's mum saying, Duke, your dad was here. And I said, oh. And he said, he's gone. You'll have to stay here tonight. Ouch. So the way through the night, although you're talking about, oh, let's hope we get this Blue Peter thing come back. Or, well, hey, I ain't worried about that. But when you get home, what's going to happen to you? So I remember leaving from the house early in the morning and going up the Harrow Road. And fun enough, I saw Errol from my dad's band.
Okay.
What's the chances of that?
Yeah.
He said to me, where your father was looking for you last night, you know. You better go home like this instant, go home now. And I said, I'm on my way. And I remember going to the train station, jumping on the train, going all the way back up to Watford, walking through. And I remember getting to the house. And then kind of thinking, I don't know what he's going to say. He's going to be so annoyed. And I remember getting to the house, putting the key in the door, and then going into the front room. And Errol was sitting in the front room.
Oh, wow.
What? How did Errol get there before you? Wait, did you see Errol on Harrow Road? Errol was on the Harrow Road.
On the Harrow Road, right? So that it was a panic thing. So it's not till years later when I had a conversation with Errol. I said, I remember you being at the house. And he said to me, listen to me. It's not everything you see or anything. I didn't have to give you a lift back. I went up to make sure that you got back home safe. Your lesson was get the train back up there, and I went up there to make sure that your dad didn't go crazy on you. So he look out for me. So he went there to say, look, he's fine, he's safe, he's on his way back.
Save your butt.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna put it that way, but yeah, Errol saved me that day. I still have that close relationship with him today.
No, but that was a really good thing. That was a good thing.
What?
Yeah.
So even the first question Empress Sharon said is, why didn't Errol take you back?
Yeah.
Get the train. I'll go up there and smooth it out with your dad before you get there. So there you go. There's a story about how I got myself in trouble for the love of music. And I think that was the last rehearsal I ever had down back in where I didn't go back down there after that.
Right.
So plenty more fish in the sea. We're talking about the maneuvering of music. At that point, I got that spark that I could do music. I could play because I was a keyboard player. Because remember the story of Graham Hawke. I wanted to be like Graham. Although we saw Junior and Hopi and all those guys in the band, even my dad on the bass, it didn't really appeal to me. So I started the keyboards. And I met up with some guys and we started doing music. And Minty was one of that crew as well. So I've known Minty that long.
Yeah.
One day we were doing some rehearsals. And I remember I was building some songs. And we were saying, we need a singer to sing some of this because it was the years where combinations were out there. So you would have a Flower Gun with a Ninja Man or a Tinker Stewart with a Ninja Man or a Shabba.
That's right.
So I said, if we're going to make a tune, we need to do it as a combination. And that's what happened, is that I felt safer looking at it now. If my father was in a band in that collective, they moved as a collective. So I think when you do music, for me personally, I was always more happy and harmonious in a collective. Yeah. So that's my first thing, is that when we done Plenty More Fish in the Sea, Jnr Scorpion and Hello Jnr Scorpion.
Right.
much as this. It was a case of I paired up with him. There's a cover, Plenty More Fish and Sea, first ever single. Then I done the thing. It was 91 that we made it, and it came out at the end of 91, 92.
Right. 91, 92. Who did the rhythm track?
Okay, so the rhythm track was initially built by myself, and that was done in my room because we had the 4-track, and then we laid down the demo.
In your room?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
at that point, I had moved out because I had that job at the Shiva.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're doing all right then. Yeah, you're doing okay.
Well, I knew we were doing all right. It's one house full of like different rooms. So if I was doing all right, I would have had that £75 a week room. I had to take the £35 one, the small one.
Oh man!
I'll tell you what, we're gonna play just a little piece of that, and we were able to play this courtesy of Little Minty, So we're gonna play that right now. Take a listen.
Yo, going through my selection today, and you know where I'm find this Plenty More Fish, Sparkie Melody, Jnr Scorpion. Take a listen.
Now all of the girls them, when no one says you can't get a man good love, I want you to step out of that and let the man make him go out. All of the man them broke out. Anytime the Scorpion come out.
White Label Test Press.
Yeah, that is power.
I remember that one.
Absolutely.
So the demo for that was done 2 years before it ever came out on plastic, and that's the process. So when you're talking about learning a process how to deliver music, and we done this without asking my father or anybody, and it's a funny story. So we took it from the room and we said we need to get it in the studio. So we went to a studio in Watford, and at that point I was working at Lee John's studio, which is another story. And there's
From Imagination.
Yes.
Okay.
The great Lee John. And I remember working there, and there was Adam, who was his engineer, and there was also DVS, which is another engineer that was working there. And I remember working with Adam, so we booked the studio for Saturday. Is there any chance that you could come down and produce it? And I remember speaking to a friend of mine, Patrick, and I said, look, I'm going to the studio to put this down. And these days it was on tape. And he said, okay, you're going down. I said, I need some help with like the backing vocals and things. So he said, okay, who do you want to help you or something like that? And at that point I was listening to Trevor Hartley. And I said, is there any chance that we could get Trevor Hartley to do it?
Imagine.
And went to the studio, he said he'd make the call. And then we went there, and then Trevor Hartley came. So on that first ever single, I've got Trevor Hartley doing backing vocals on the thing, and he coached me through it, how to do it and everything. And if you flip that record over that mint he's got, you can hear Trevor Hartley singing that song by himself.
Okay.
Oh,
it's like a dub version where my voice got taken off it. It's just, Trevor Hartley. Doesn't happen.
Man, you did well. You did very, very well.
And that's without going through asking my father or going to or asking Linda or even asking Lee. So it was Patrick that sorted that out. And that was a beautiful experience being in that studio with Scorps and doing that. And it was done, recorded, vocals on everything, thanks to John Hartley. And we needed to get it produced. And that's when you run into a different category. Laying it down is one thing, getting it up to scratch where you can send it to the road is the next where you put the polish on it. So after Adam done what he needed to do, we had to bring it down into London. And that's where I spoke to my father and said, I'm going to need your help. And he said, what do you need? And I said, can you get me into the studio to get this body? Because if you're listening to the Suspend stuff, their stuff is outstanding to the ear, because their Sus is based upon sounds upon sound. Yeah. And there's other things as well. So look back in history, there's something called Sus Law, where people used to be stopped and searched, and they were a militant band in those times as well. Yeah. So they're named from Sus Law as well around the time, so 78, 79. And they said to make the call. So he made a call, and then he phoned Lindel Lewis. Okay. And then Lindel said, okay, come down there Saturday. And that was down in Rockledge Road, down in Harlesden. So I'm back from Hertfordshire, we're back down into the old ends, which is all familiar. So we're happy, we're safe, we know what we're doing. And that's why I met Lindel for the first time in that big studio. Right. With the reel. And then we put it all together. And from that day back in the early 90s, Lindel has always been on my side. Always. Right. The great Lindel Lewis, and I owe him so much for guiding me through this music process. Yeah. He's been there for many people in the industry, even myself, you know. The man is truly a legend and an icon, you know. Yeah. Can't speak highly enough for him. Lindel, he does it for the love of it as well. Yeah. He got the business side of it as well. But if he wanted to help you, he will help you. But you had to be at that level. One thing I know, because throughout the years, if you have a look at my catalog until we done the Tapestry album, everything went through Lindel, because I was at DVS Records and Koofy Records with the Suspend. That's right. Yeah. So I was in that camp now. So you're sitting inside there. So that's where it came from. And Lindel, he's worked on so many stuff. So even seeing people like Judy Boucher and that's right, loads of people within the music industry, it never fazed me throughout one time, because I used to see them all the time. It's how you conduct yourself, you know. That's right. It is. It really is. So even seeing Judy Boucher when she was at #1 or #2 and on Top of the Pops, and then and then I see my father on television. So those things become the norm. So you don't really think about it. Right. So until you get later in life, you look at it and say the achievements that those guys have gone to. It's a great story. Now let's lead that into 2014 when you met up with Redman. Tell me about Redman. So Redman UK, and I think the song you're talking about is When I Get Through With You. You mentioned. That's it. So we put that together, and don't forget, if you have a look at Plenty More Fish in the Sea, it was a collaboration. When I said I was going to do another song, I went straight to my default position, which was a collaboration. Right. Yeah. I remember at that time where YouTube is quite popular now, and you can see all those old videos. And I remember tapping something in, or something flashed up for a band or a group called Sun Cycle. Okay. Yeah. So within Sun Cycle, you had Gappy Ranks, Dolomite, Redman UK. And there was Lady Shan, so many of them. Oh, so you know of Sun Cycle? I know Sun Cycle from Stonebridge. They were incredible, weren't they? Oh yeah. I had a couple of friends up in that same Sun Cycle group. Right, so that was a roster of some powerhouses that became like Gappy Ranks. All of them, yes. Right. So I remember having a look at that and thinking, I wouldn't mind working with these guys. And I thought, okay, Gappy at that time had exploded when I was written 2014 and things. Right. So harder to get to that. And I was having a look at it. And I remember sending out an email or a phone call outside of the record label on my own thing. And then Redman UK responded to me. Okay. And then he said, let's come and have a meeting. And from that day, he is such a professional. He is. I wish him all the best. He's still in the music business. He's still doing great things. And I just hope he goes to the heights that his talent deserves. Yeah. When we sat in the booth and things, that's another one that we sat there. I had my song. He didn't know the song. He came in with a big heart. And he said, I'll do it for you. And he wrote his lyrics in a split second. And then he said it's ready, went in the booth, and that's what taught me, if you're going to be inside this music beat, you really need to practice your craft.
Right.
You can't just rock up there and do what you're doing or do it at his level. And that's where my practicing came in, where you have to make sure. And Lindel made sure that you kind of practice, because you can't just turn up at Lindel's studio not knowing what you're doing, because he's a busy man.
That's right.
So even when I record today, within 2 takes, I've got it done.
So you did your homework.
You can't go in there. Another funny story. I remember being in the booth with Lindel, and I think it was when I Get Through With You. It was when I Get Through With You, and I'm singing a certain note, and he's like, "No, what are you singing?" I was like, okay, I have another. He said, "No, that's not it. It needs to be here."
Yeah.
And you do it again, and he said, "Oh, okay," and he'll put me on a loop.
Yeah.
And then it'll disappear out of the picture. You just get round and round and round, and it'll disappear back. And he said, "You ready?" And he'll click it. You missed it, and the next time I'm like, nailed it.
Right.
And this is where I know, and this is where we work now inside the studio. Within 2 passes, I'll have it done. From that discipline back there. So Redman UK was the big driving force, and when I Get Through With You, and I was very comfortable working with him. We've done shows with it. A few shows in Reading, we've done some in London, and we're supposed to make a video for that, but it didn't happen. But I'd like to revisit working with him. He's a splendid gentleman, and I admire him a lot. And that Sun Cycle crew, I take my hat off to them. I think they're absolutely great, and it's no surprise that Gappy has gone on to do what he has gone to do.
Yeah.
A bunch of people.
Gappy West.
So is that where the spark came from in terms of knowing what you wanted to do now, which is, I'm assuming, contributing to the music, fraternity, and then at the same time knowing that you wanted to move forward with this thing, and then Tapestry comes along?
Yeah, it's a case of, if you check my music career, there's loads of gaps inside there where you've got like 4-year gaps of it. Because as I said, if you didn't dedicate yourself to something, you need to dedicate yourself to something. And it was a case of my career took over, and that's my love. Even before now, if you have a look at the comparisons, what I do by building systems and retail systems and things, that's my passion. And I don't want to talk about music and have that capacity of my brain taken up by other things. So I dedicate myself to it. And that's why my music career's got like blocks where I'm in and out.
Right.
And I think it was 4 years ago where I said, if you're really going to have a go at it, because you've been amongst it, if you're really going to have a go, have a serious go, you can't do it the way that you've been doing it before. Have a plan, set your own goals, set yourself some milestones. And that's where I spoke to Lindel and said, okay, I really want to go for this now. And he said, well, you've been in it for a long time, and if you're going to do it, then do it properly. You know how the thing works. So we done Ramp Wid in 2018, and that was the test to see if we can get a sound and where do you want to go vocally and things. And that's why we tested it out with Ramp Wid. And that's where I worked with the Blackstones.
On the harmonies.
Right. So, and what happened is that we laid the rhythm track, and then I said, okay, what harmonies on it? And let's just go back. On When I Get Through With You, we got Junior, Bailey, and Hopton McLean on there.
Okay.
And Junior Bailey is from the Blackstones, and he was in the Suspect with my father.
Right.
And he also went on tour with Junior English. So we're kind of in it already.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Junior Hopi, fabulous working with them on When I Get Through With You. And by the time that Junior sort of been in the Blackstones, so I said, I phoned him and said, could you do me the honors again and like do some harmonies for me? He said, okay, meet us down at Stingray.
Okay.
Because they were working out at the Stingray camp, and that was new for me because I'm always with Lindel. So working in another studio was completely different.
Right.
So I met them down there, and I said, okay, I've got 2 songs. And it's okay, what's the 2 songs? One was It's Only You, which is on the album, and Cold Concrete Jungle. So they're the ones that I want them to do the harmony for the project.
Okay.
And I remember us getting those ones in the can, and we were inside there. And I remember we was leaving. I said, I didn't want to ask them because we'd been there for a while.
Right.
And then I said, we got one more, and Dilly put it on, and they heard it. And when they heard it, they said, "Ooh!" And they started harmonizing it and singing. And they said, I said, "Could you do this one?" And they said, "Of course."
Mm.
And they went back in the booth and done the harmonies for Ramp Wid on that way. Blackstones.
Tune. But listen, before you say anything more, let me just do this.
Please.
Mama said to me, watch out for them people and make them take no liberty. Who you are Ramp Wid? You must see things say me soft. Don't a donkey from a horse. Just cause they make them eyeball up. I who them a Ramp Wid? I boy. I who them a Ramp Wid? You girl. Good will counteract. Stay far from bad mind. Don't mix up in a iniquity. Told you once, me now go tell you twice. Ramp Wid me, make me turn on nothing. As who you are Ramp Wid. You must be things say me soft. Don't a donkey from a horse. Just cause they make them eyeball up. I who them a Ramp Wid? I boy. I who them a Ramp Wid? You girl. Watch out, watch out. Mama said fi nip it in the bud before them started. Anyhow them got fi change gear, just make them park it. Chat behind your back and you know which one of them started. Ready up yourself and me say go start it.
Yes, Lord of mercy.
Good.
That particular song was great. Great. Absolutely love that tune. Where is it, Sharon?
Absolutely, because you know what? Of course, you know the original, right? So it's the simple fact that you did that and just flipped it, but still gave us the flavor that goes with it. You know what I mean? That when that song originally came out.
That was because many people have done It Mech and done what they needed to do, and I wanted my own take on it, but also have the Desmond Decker and pay homage and respect. He's one of the icons in there, and I didn't want to dance up on his song, so I created something different. But the message is in that Ramp Wid.
It is.
I mean, I'm gonna tell
it
you twice.
Really is. I really love it. I love it.
A lot of the older generation like Ramp Wid and will take to Ramp Wid, and that goes to show you if you're going to do something, because not many people would have heard that song.
Right.
Now that we're working on the Tapestry project, that started to come back through, and loads of people have started to latch onto that.
Yeah.
That single took me onto Jamaica.
Okay.
So what happened when we finished it was getting a lot of attention, a lot of airplay in Jamaica. So when I went out there in 2019, I ended up doing a show there because of the popularity of Ramp Wid.
Yeah.
Because I went over there to do some recordings for the Tapestry project. Didn't know it was Tapestry at the time. But it was a case of we done that, and the show went really well on that thing of Ramp Wid. So my father used to introduce me. You see, this is my son. This is the one that done Ramp Wid. Never used to call my name or anything. And they said, I am.
Yeah.
And they could do it word for word, which was
right.
So great times.
Right. So the feedback you were getting was favorable, right?
More to the point of why aren't you doing more of this?
Brilliant. So what goes through your cranium at that particular point?
Yeah.
Because we were at the point where we said, okay, we know we can get a sound, we know we can build a sound, we know we can write songs. Always been able to write songs and put them together.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do it, let's go for it. So I had talks with Lindel, Jnr, and my father. Okay, what we're going to do, because I'm over at I'm over at DVS Records with Lindel.
Yeah.
And it's the case of saying, if you're going to do a project, it's going to be your first project, go back to Lucky 13 Records. So they recreate Lucky 13 Records as a playground for me to be able to explore and use that label to get back on to do my own sort of creating and things. It's a brilliant gift, and it's a case of it's for all the children of Sus as well. So that's yours and things. So we have to look after the catalogue Sus done.
Right.
The Sus band are 8 albums in. So we have all of that back catalogue to have a look at, and all their other singles when they're working with Owen Gray and all the greats like that. So
wow. Yeah.
Simon, if you really do have a look at the Sus band, they've done some amazing things within the industry, playing.
Now, talk to me about the mindset of Tapestry. Where does Tapestry come into your mind and say, I want to create this album called Tapestry? And for anyone who, because it is not officially out yet, right?
No, it is unofficially out, but not officially out. And the reason why we're doing that is that we've gone back to the old adage of creating a product, I need to hit the streets and sell the product.
Right. Now,
so the reason why I'm doing it is that we press the record label and they can have it up on streaming sites tomorrow.
Right.
But having that tangible product in your hand, because I've got a number that I have to do to put all the return of investment back into the project. So I'm looking at numbers. You give me 100 streams and 200 streams, I can't go back and say, here's a check for 100 streams for like 4 or 5 people.
Now, there's how many tracks on this album?
15.
There's 15 tracks on the album. Talk to me about this.
Okay, so that is the Tapestry actual box that it comes in. Wow. Okay, so that is associated back to my corporate side, because I've got an actual case like that. And I should have brought it in with me, actually. From Toshiba. It's got Toshiba written on it. I remember if I wanted to run a project, I remember having that concept that I may be able to use that. And with the latest technology that we got, you can get something called a credit card, which is a USB stick. And I thought if I start putting that together as my concept, I'll be able to get that in there and package that up as something.
Now, was the USB part of the original concept?
No, it wasn't. And it wasn't until I met with Deli Ranks, High Deli Ranks.
Okay.
And things like that. And I think you see Bling Dogs had his album out
That's
there.
right.
Yeah, which is Elevate.
Yeah.
I think, and then you got Silent Giant.
Right.
And I looked at that and said, wow, that is really interesting concept, because you're always looking at different media. So I knew that was around because that's the technology that we use all the time. So I've seen all these things. And it was a case of that's the way that it was going. And I would put mine on a similar type of thing. But where they went through, and I thought their concept was brilliant. And I think it just aligned with mine. So it's like great minds do think alike, as they say, because my concept would have been that the first album came out, it would have been that, but their ones came out before mine.
What would be your gripe with downloads as opposed to the hard physical copy? Just spell it out.
Well, okay, so a gripe is, depending on how you do it, is that you can have like servers that house your music, but if you're downloading music on your phone, if your phone packs up at any certain time, unless you got that stored somewhere else, you can lose it. I bought albums before, and I've lost them because the phone's packed up, and I've got no other way of getting them back. So that was Ellis's album, EP, and it was also Randy Valentine's. I remember buying that one, and I bought Shaggy's album as well, and I had that on my phone.
Right.
And the phone packed up and I lost all that music. And I think, you know what, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
This is what it is. I'd rather the physical copy. So at least that way you can play it. And if you wanted to put it on your hard drive, you can move it around and things. Like I'm very much a hard copy type of person.
And I suspect it will be better for you in terms of sales as well, right?
And that's the revenue. You look at return of investment. Am I going to sit there and wait for a streaming service to cut me my check to give back to like directors and things?
Yeah.
I have to go out there and make it happen for myself, and that's the intention. So the thing is that if word of mouth saying, look, the Duke's album's out, and we're cutting it on CD, which is kind of a depressing thing at the moment, and that's why it's unofficially released, because we want to get all the back office in line to make sure that's done, and then we'll go for a proper campaign early next year.
Now let's talk about the blueprint, Tapestry itself.
Yeah.
What did you hope to get from this album? What was the concept in your mind that you wanted to offload to the major public?
Well, and more to the point is that I wanted to try and make a composition as an album that somebody would listen to it from start to finish. Because everything's all saturated. Before you used to buy into an artist, I used to buy into a Ninja Man or a Sanchez or a Freddie McGregor or a Don Campbell. You go out and purchase their music. And they're just names to mention a few, because our collection's like massive.
Yeah.
And you can tap out from it where you just put that piece of plastic on that bit of vinyl and just listen to that artist. So you can tune in with that artist. What's that artist saying? I'll give you an example. L.A. Gray, and I meant mention him, great artist. He's doing great things at the moment. Spent the summer with him and everything. I went and wrote Who Knows? That's got a message in there that you probably don't know, and he'll explain the message. But when I listen to that song now, I get a different feeling from it than when I first heard it, and it's an outstanding song. But when you know the messages inside it, it's got a deeper meaning to you. So, Mr. Gray, big up yourself, sir. I'll see you soon. It's a case of the song's got a deeper meaning, and when he sings it and he hits the notes, you can feel the passion and the reason why he wrote it, and very similar. And that's why we get on, and that's why we move the way that we move, because when you know the inner thoughts of that concept, same as Tapestry, I wrote, you can tap out from social media and listen to the Duke's album and just stay with me for that hour or whatever it was to get the album, and then have your opinion on what it was. I want it to be a time capsule. Messages inside there that will maneuver you throughout your life.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, sorry, that to sort of labor the point, but me growing up, I used to listen to the radio. We used to get reggae music every now and again, or we had a cassette. And once you put that cassette in and put those headphones on, you'd in a different world.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted for Tapestry.
Right.
The album, have those messages inside there so people can.
Did you deliberately not regurgitate or whatever that word is?
Regurgitate old rhythms.
Old time rhythms, you know what I mean? And you know, because normally, you know, when you listen to a lot of albums, you know, you hear a lot of repetition of old time rhythms. Nothing wrong with that, but
no,
you know,
I mean,
sometimes it's yeah. Now this album that I listened to, which is called Tapestry, I wasn't expecting that, you know what I mean? I didn't know what to expect. However, when I played the first one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, I had to just let it play, because sometimes you'd hear a track, you listen to 30 seconds in, and then you skip. This album, I was able to just let it run, right? And each individual track that I realized that is on this album stands alone by itself. Away from the album, they all stand on its own. Powerful album, and it was refreshing to hear. Now, before you say anything, Sparkie, I want to come to Sharon. When you heard the album, I played it to you. Talk your roots.
Well, as you know, Sparkie, if you've watched any of the interviews, I'm very in-depth to everything, right? From words to what the album looked like. So,
yes, ma'am.
My assessment of what Tapestry is or means to me, I'm going to slightly pick up at bank off the 10-star, because in this album, there is something for everybody.
Yeah.
In this album, there is something for everyone, whatever mood you're in, whatever message you may have wanted to hear. it's in that album. And I applaud you for that. Which goes to say, me listen, because I'm a wordy person, right? So if I hear you, your manipulation of words, your manipulation of sound, and then another thing with the album, you haven't really repeated what's out there, but what you've done is brought in that still old school feeling without copying everybody else, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And the way that the way you described it is beautiful. I thank you both so much, because that means it's having the effect that it should have. That's what I wrote Tapestry. It will take you through a journey.
Mm-hmm.
It will take you through everything. It's got life, it's got death, it's got love, it's got passion, it's got
precisely
having your child out there in that big world and your fears of your child. It's got things like battle weary, which we're all battle weary at some point, because we've gone through whatever emotion it is, or a trial or tribulation. So we know what a battle is. Sometimes you're tired, but you've got to keep pushing on.
Yeah,
it's got upliftment tunes inside there, like Rich Man, Poor Man, and I'm so glad that you come to the consensus of that it has that about it. When you get tuned into that album, it's got a bit for everybody.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Well, I tell you what, I want to do something else again, all right? Because this is the last.
You're surprising me, because half of the stuff popping up, I'm thinking, "Grand out loud."
Man, I tell you, this is the track now. When I called Little Minty, who's watching, and
Minty,
listen, that guy to me is a legend as well, because he's really done his, and he needs his dues as a great selector, a great music man, a great producer. Everything he does.
Minty's the man.
I love everything that Minty does. Anyway, I reached out to him, and I reached out to him in respect of another singer. However, he was playing one of your songs in the background, and this is the song I heard.
Greetings, one and all. This is Lloyd Brown, and you are in tune to none other than Stockade Promotions, Royal Blend Radio, the station with a difference.
Left some gems for we, and we're steeped in reggae anthology. We are the guardians of the craft, of the craft, of the craft. We are the guardians. We are the guardians, yeah. So we are gonna put pen to paper, and we are gonna rewrite this reggae order.
Man, you don't realize how powerful that tune is.
No, I think I'll correct you on that, sir. I think
brethren, talk to me about Guardians.
So Guardians is the concept, and it's a funny thing that happened, because when we were putting the album together, I wanted another song to pay homage and keep the legacy of reggae going strong.
Yeah.
And I got this thing of guardians that came into my head. We're guardians of the craft. What you're doing, you're a guardian of the music. I'm a guardian of it by doing it. The public are guardians of purchasing the music. So what I had to do was pick a list of 20 odd people that I hold very dear to my heart. And it was a case of, I got woken up out of my sleep, and I had a vision of Gregory, Dennis, and Delroy Wilson.
Right.
They were the three that I had first. And they said, we got something for you. And I remember waking up, going into the kitchen, which is a different part of the house, and thinking, and I remember this rhythm coming inside my head and saying, and that's how the song came about. It's like Guardians, so it's that if we let this craft go, who's going to pick it up? Yeah, our forebearers left some gems to eat. We're steeped in reggae anthology. And that's when we put the words together. And I think I got halfway through, I was recording it into my phone, and then the vision disappeared. And I had it, I remember recording it in the studio, and D, my engineer, hello D, big respect, love you lots. I was in the booth, and it happened one time before where I didn't finish the song, so I didn't tell him. So we got to record. And I said, this song ain't finished, D. And he said, what do you mean? I remember him looking at me through the glass. And I said, don't worry. And I remember opening my palms and praying and said, please, 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 please help me. And it came back in the booth where I could feel the spirits and the strength, and said, yes, we said we're going to do it for you. Let's deliver it here. I remember, and I was just going for it and delivering what? Powerful Guardians. And it keeps the name alive of those icons as well. We're all doing it. And they set the way, and everything that we put out, we're trying to add to what they're doing to make sure that we hold the message strong. And Guardians is one of that song that we're going to like keep pushing, you know? Very powerful.
Again, the album itself is very powerful. I think in respect to you, I think that listening to the album, you can tell it was never rushed. You were in no rush to just put it out there. When it does come out, it will hit people where it's supposed to hit people, because everything nowadays seems to be a rush. There is no rush for this album because it's in the category of its time place, which is what is going to be happening for 2024. Again, I have to reiterate the fact that there is something for everybody on here in whatever stage in their life of emotional stress or whatever that they're going through. There's a song in there for you. And I think that that was purposely done. So wherever you were, wherever your mindset was in creating this album,
yes,
it's right on time, because you took the time to tap into everybody's or every emotion, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you
that means
took
a
the
lot.
time. Yeah, you took the time to connect everything that's going on today, tomorrow, the previous year. Life itself is in this tapestry, which is a great title, tapestry, because it's just a series of when you listen to the tracks, you can see the pictures, whatever picture in your mind.
Perfect. I think you should be on the PR campaign for this, Empress Sharon. You put it together.
I second that.
You put it together beautifully, and it's like, so when we were doing it, it's like that patchwork quilt or a tapestry or a piece of artwork or something. Something that it's got that. Oh, you explained it so well. It has got everything for something.
That's what everybody knows me to be. I'm deeper than you can possibly imagine. You can tell I can separate bullshit from real facts, right? And you didn't put this together. You did not put this together just on the fly like that. It's just the feeling that you get each track, each song, the wording. You understand? It's meant to hit people where it needs to hit them. And above all else, you have brought, you seem to, for me, to have brought the old school back to new school. It's an old time feeling.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Look at you, dissect girl.
Absolutely perfect. You described it. That's exactly what I wanted to come across. I put that body of work together about childhood, about discipline, about love, about loss. You know, about there's a track on there called "Addicted to Poison."
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody's interpretation of addicted to poison may be different. It's not drug related. It's about addicted to a person where you love that person that much.
Yeah.
No matter what you're going through, is that you can have them treat you in such a way or what it is, but you're loving them. You'll always be there.
Yeah.
And if it's not working out, you still won't hang on. But at some point, you're going to have to run through the trees and leave it alone. And if you come back this way, you don't even recognize it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what it is that why do I keep coming back to this person, and that am I addicted to the poison? So it's very special. We went deep in it. We went deep on the album. Wrote it from a conscious place as well. Because you're going to put this body of work as my first album out into the public domain. So it has to represent the Duke as a person. So to put Tapestry out there next year, and it will stand the test of time, I'm sure.
I have to come to a particular track. I love all the tracks.
Thank
but
you.
This one, speaks to me about my journey with my daughter. I think I spoke to you at length about this one. And it's called My Child. I'm going to see if I can just play a few bars of it. Let's see.
Sure.
I need you to fight. I want you to soar.
Don't let no one push you around. Find yourself on solid ground. You got to push yourself, my baby. You got to be wiser, be smarter than me. You've got to push yourself, my child. Although daddy left his post a long, long time, you got to push yourself, my baby. You've got to fight now amongst all thieves.
That tune is powerful. People will have to buy the album to hear the rest of that and all these tracks.
That's right.
That track is powerful.
Yeah, my child in 2024 is going to be a single. And Sugarman Sam is a rock guitarist, and he works with a new band called The Revenant, and he done the solo on that. So that song is my childhood, where my father and mother told me, you're going to have to push yourself, my child.
Yeah.
I wrote that for my daughter as well, and other children. So no matter what you face within this life, you mustn't stop. You have to keep pushing. And that's my message to the children out there. Just keep fighting. Many times we said we could give up, you know.
Yeah.
In many things. But it's having that determination to keep going, keep pushing, find it within and just go for whatever you want. You know? So having that fear, if I try this and I fail, what's the consequences of this? Yeah. Just try it and find people that be able to find a way out of it if it was to go bad, and pushing, you know. It's not every time you try something you must give up. You have to keep going. Because it's not like one time you try something it's going to be a success. Very rare.
Powerful tune, my brother. Absolutely. Listen, I have to do this.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know what the head that
yes,
cap head mean, right?
Yeah, sir. Caps off and that, and coming from you, because I do know your history within the music business. It means so much because you're a voice of reason when it comes down to this, So thank you, and for the recognition, because you've listened to the album. To have that recognition, and for Empress Sharon to describe it the way that I created it, I think it's fantastic. That means I've done my job, right?
You have.
You've done your job. That
right.
means you've
So
done
that's
your
now
job.
to hand it over to next people and publicize it and get it to where it needs to go. That's the
That's
chain
right.
effect of it. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Sharon, over to you, and then draw this show to.
I've enjoyed it. It's gone quicker than I thought it was.
It has, and I think we've been able to capsulate a lot in this conversation whereby when you look at your journey to where you are, you know, you would hear a lot of, I guess, your journey in this album also, and you have to listen to it keenly to pick up what you need to pick up. You know, My Child again speaks to me of a journey, you know, the hardship, like you said, you know, as a father, it was easy to give up, but we had to push through that hardship in order to make it to be here today. How many people didn't make it because they gave up? You know what I mean? And to be here and then to encourage your child is one of the greatest blessings. And, you know, my daughter being in university, doing her thing, you know, all these things, keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
And that's what it meant to me.
Keep-
You know, it's an emotional tune for me, you know.
Thank you, sir. Has your daughter heard it?
She hasn't, but she will do.
Oh gosh, yes, you must.
Yeah.
Must.
Yeah. Definitely. I'll be sending it to her.
It's the message in there. It's one of the most touching songs
Mhm.
on the album. You need to know the methods behind it and the reasons behind it, like Battle Weary. So at some point, I'll explain the album to people. But it has got that message in there. Thank you. My Child is a winner.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
All of the title songs on there, it's going to mean something to somebody. So if they don't,
Yeah.
if the title of a track that speaks to them, they buy your album and like, let me hear this one first, and then they're going to go through everything else. You will know, because at that present moment in time, you don't know what people are going through, right? That particular track there, 10 Stars Like My Child. I listened to the track and think about even my daughter, that how it wasn't easy in the beginning, but when I look at her achievements now, and when we talk every day, because she lives in Dallas, but she's bigger than I could have possibly imagined. She's accomplished so much, and still to this day, you know, the call will be like, "Well, mom, you know, blah 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 blah. We'll keep pushing.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that."
Yeah.
Because because of the level that she's achieved, there are going to be people out there who's going to test you, right? There's going to be people out there that's going to test you and make you feel even more jealous. I said, now just leave that. Don't worry about that. And I'm so grateful for that. So grateful for the fact that I told you, right? I told you when I spoke. She's bigger than I could possibly imagine. And then now, helping other people, just keep pushing. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Keep pushing.
That's what you need. You need that reassurance. You're never too old to get that reassurance, you know, that you're doing okay.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And that's why speaking to 10 Star recently as well, because we had many a conversation. When I said, Joy, when you pick up the phone and we talk, as you know. And when we check the phone, we said that 2 hours that we've been on the phone or whatever it is. It's a wonderful time that you take out to invest in me and vice versa. And you just need that assurance. And that's what My Child will do. It will tell those children, no matter what you face, just keep going. If it goes wrong, find another solution. It will go right. Just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. It will come good. And that's my message to the children out there across the world. Just keep pushing.
Yeah.
That's exactly where it's going to make that difference when it does cross the world, because this album it's going to hit all borders.
Thank you.
Because I think the most fascinating thing to me is even in countries that do not speak English, when they listen to the music, they take it to another level of embracing it, and will learn the words. They may not speak a lick of English enough, but I bet you they don't So your album is coming right on time because
Mm,
it's going to be worldwide.
yeah.
Thank you.
It hits different because you took the time
And
to,
that's evident, isn't it?
yeah,
Hmm.
it is. You took the time for each song that a message will be going out. It's real deep. It's
What
not
did
even
I
a
say
matter of,
to you, Sparky? Talk the things. What did I say to you?
And this is the thing. I mean, hearing Empress Sharon say that for the first time to me, because I've had the conversation with you, 10 Star, about the album, because you got the album for you to review it. So when we had this conversation,
Yeah.
you could tell me your thoughts about it. And when
Mhm.
we had the conversation, I said, look, once I play that to Empress Sharon, you have to hear it for myself.
Yeah, yeah,
And to know that she's in the same ballpark as you and what you think about Tapestry, the album, it means I've done something right. And I know I have. And it's
yeah,
just the world to find it, sir. The
yeah.
music industry saturated with music out there, but you have
Mhm.
to pick an artist and choose. You can't buy everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, true.
yeah,
But what do? You pick an artist, like I said, when I used to buy Sanchez or Freddie or a Beres or
yeah,
Garnet Silk or, you
yeah,
pick the artists
Yeah.
and stick with the artists and go with them on a journey. You can't do them
yeah,
all, but find your artist. And
yeah.
hopefully the people will find the Duke Sparkie Melody and stay with me on this journey and let's take it to a different place.
Sharon,
It
let's do
will.
an outro. Let's do an outro and sum it up. Sum up the show for us, Sharon. And let's end the show.
Oh, for me to can you hear
Because
me now? Can you hear me? 'Cause my screen is
you,
frozen. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you, but you're frozen. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but as long as you can hear me, I mean,
yeah,
We can
let's
hear
see
you.
what it is.
yeah.
Sparky, I have to say, this has been a great honor. Initially, when I contacted you, we spoke in great length, so I knew who you were before you even got here, right?
Yeah.
But knowing this album, what you've created is a game changer. I want you to hear me and understand it is a game changer.
Mm,
It nanama, lisyawa nanama. So
mm,
Thank you.
whatever it is
Thank
that
you.
you put into it at the time that you did it, you've done it. You've done your job. You have
yeah,
done your job. This album will take you where you need to go. Because
hmm,
Thank you.
I respect the fact that okay, for this particular album, as you and I spoke, you said you want to monitor every single thing on this with this album from start to finish, from business to fruition, right? From very
Mhm.
beginning to wherever it's gonna fly. But
mm,
now I understand why. This is a
Nice.
very special album.
Thank you.
I am so blessed to hear the tracks pre before it goes out post. And I'm excited for what's going to come for you. I really,
Wow.
really am. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful
And that,
thing.
that infuses me to say that getting the seal from you guys is very important. And you recite it back the same way that I wrote it, and the way that you comment on it is how I see it in my head. So we can take
Mhm.
Tapestry to the world, and with your help and other people's help and the people around the world, we can deliver Tapestry to the world. It's not a local thing. We've done it as an international project.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right. And that's the
Thank
beautiful
you.
thing. I'm just so excited. So,
So am
so,
I
so
now. I'm very much infused by the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
you've done well, sir. You've done very well. Very
Thank you.
well.
Well, we definitely applaud you, Sparky Melody, on this brilliant album. I have it in my possession. Thank you for signing it, and I have to say, I wish you all the best. I think I've given you some ideas as to how to move forward with, the whole project, and we'll be looking further into that together. But also, I just want to genuinely wish you all the best. What would be your message to anybody out there who may be looking to invest in your album, what do you have to say about Tapestry and about the people who is following you right now?
We've had a great year, as I said. We're moving things, working with LA Gray and his team, working with Lindel Lewis, DVS, Sue from my team, the media side of it, and all the radio personnel. I want to thank them as well for playing the stuff. All the people that are interviewing me, Little Minty being my official DJ when we go on tour next year with the album.
Awesome.
People will find it. If you find Sparkie Melody, Sparkie Melody and number 1, and find me on the socials, either send me a message direct and I can put you in touch with the people that are distributing the album. And then when it comes online, you'll be able to go there and order it and try and purchase a copy to push this thing forward. That we can reinvest that money into somebody else even. So I can pass it on and then help produce someone else or somebody who's coming up that needs that help. We can invest that money from some of the Tapestry proceedings back into helping another artist. And that's my goal.
Amen. Amen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, give people one more time information on how they can, first and foremost, give me information about the album's release. Is there going to be an official release?
Right, so we're looking, we've held it back. We got caught in a queue, so it will go 2024. So it will go for the first semester of 2024. So it will be for the first part of 2024. I know that.
2024. Okay, and how will it be accessible to people? How they look out?
If they were to go directly to www.lucky13, that's 13 records, .co.uk. They'll be able to have a look at that and see when it comes on. But watch out for my posts on Instagram, Sparkie, Sparkie Melody, Melody, and number 1. And then we'll make sure everybody knows you're going to be explosive. We're not just going to make this thing just go out in a whimper. When Tapestry is officially out there, everybody will know it's out there. And we're going to make a noise about it.
Yes, man. They can't. Man.
I ramp it.
You have to acknowledge the noise when it comes because it's a great album, and trust me. Sharon said,
powerful is the word. Powerful.
Don't rump.
Don't ramp it. The Jew.
Don't rump it. And I tell you what, we're gonna go out with that particular track.
Go for it.
Ramp Wid. And boy, what a tune, what a tune. People, we're gonna be back next week. When are we gonna be back? Next week.
Tomorrow.
Oh, sorry, yes.
I know your schedule, 10-star. You're back
yes,
tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Blame it on the grace. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back with a legendary comedian, Earl Vassell Eagle, popularly known as Pink Panther. He's a comedian. He's going to be our guest tomorrow.
Brilliant.
Okay? And then tomorrow we'll give you the rundown of the following week. All right? So DJ Maestro says to Sparkie Melody, brilliant conversation with Sparkie Melody. Thank you for sharing your musical journey to this point. I also want to big up DJ Vibes, who's actually watching on Facebook. And thank you to the other people who've been logged in from earlier. I can't see the name, but thank you all for tuning in. And also I've got to bless up Little Minty for making this happen, a true scholar and a gentleman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. So we're going to go out with this particular track.
Hold on.
Sorry?
Hold on. Sparkie.
Yes?
You are our friend now. We come from the same circle, brother.
We do.
We come from the same circle, same area. So this is my message to you. You are our friend to the show, which means we're going to check in. That means, yeah, all right, everything good? Okay, that's it. That is exactly that's how we are. That's what we're going to be from now on. So,
we got the phone. I'll put it on my shirt so you can see it.
Now. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. We on the phone, yeah.
All
okay.
Right.
Sharon, that's how the 60s era roll, not true?
Yes.
See there?
That's a nice
That's
way
how
of
it
putting
goes.
it.
It is. We're
I
connected,
agree.
like you with them. Yeah, we're so connected. But my
Yeah.
message to you is keep on keeping on, because you've been blessed to know where your journey is on its way to. You already know it, whether you believe it or not. You already know it.
True.
God has blessed you this far. He made sure He kept you up. You look younger than some of the young boys them out there. God bless you for that seat there. Yeah.
Yeah.
God has blessed you for the next level of life.
Brilliant.
Keep that up.
Yeah.
Keep that
We're
up.
going for it. We're going for it. We have the right team around us. We have the right people. We're moving with the right people. And I just want to say to the up and coming artists and the ones that are doing some great work inside this space, I don't want to name anybody. Yes, I know I spoke about Mr. Gray because I had a great summer with him and his team. And I really thank them for the summer that we had together, for letting me into their camp as well, which is fantastic. But there is some fantastic UK talent out there in the reggae industry. And you all know who you are because I've come to you individually and given you the praises. So I don't want to name anybody and leave anybody out, but I admire you all and your contribution 2024 and before being fabulous. 2023, let's go into 2024. Let's make some great music and let's hopefully we can do some great shows and show that the UK are really tapping into what's going out there and let's become this power force that we used to be and we still are with some of the greats that we've got. Let's try and add on.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Thank you for that wonderful speech.
Thank you.
Sharon?
Yeah, I'm good. So again, thank you so much. Thank you, little Minty. Thank you so much for even making this connect, although I was over another connect, but thank you so much. This amazing man is going to make headlines. This amazing man is going to open doors for other people. Watch. That's what we do. It's been a pleasure to hear your journey. It's been a pleasure because you've identified yourself as just an ordinary individual, wasn't even thinking about music, and here you are. So your journey is definitely inspiring. It's inspiring. That's what it is. Because when people think that they've lost it, they're like, oh no, I can do it too. Yeah. You're in no competition with anybody else. You are just yourself, and that's why you will make it. So blessings, brother.
Thank
you.
You.
That note, I'm gonna drop you with some music.
All right, I'm gonna drop it with some music. But before I do that, let me just ask Sparkie one quick question. If you can answer that in 30 seconds or less. How does Dad feel about this particular song? Or this album, I should say.
He's proud, and the good thing about it is that when I phone the house and things, my mum will say, and I see him, and he's had all the tracks all the way through the project because he's one of the directors, so has to make sure that he gets the updates because you talk about return of investments or whatnot. So it's a case of he's ecstatic, he's proud, and more to the point is that he's a fan. Can you believe my dad become a fan of mine, you know?
Whoa, mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Even trying. Mission accomplished.
All right. So that's how we're going to end the show. Big respect to the Duke Sparkie Melody for a brilliant conversation. We're going to be back tomorrow, and we're going to end the show just like this.
Mama said to me, watch out for them people and make them take no liberty. Who you are Ramp Wid? You must see things they be soft. Don't a donkey from a horse. Just cause they make them eyeball up. I would have a Ramp Wid. Aye boy. I would have a Ramp Wid. You girl. Good will come to right. stay far from bad mind. Don't mix up in a iniquity. Told you once, me now go tell you twice. Ramp with me, make me turn on that nice. Who you are ramp with? You must be think say me soft. Don't a donkey from a horse. Just cuss them, make them eye full up. I who them a ramp with? Aye boy. I who them a ramp with? You girl. Watch out, watch out. Mama said fi nip it in the bud before them start it. Anyhow them got fi change gear, just make them park it. Chat behind your back and you know which one of them start it. Ready up yourself and me say go start it.